Hey, what is going on, guys? Danny here. Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you're all doing well. So, Valve Steam Machine, its pricing has finally been unveiled. Let's talk about it. There's been a lot of buzz in the community surrounding this device, a lot of anticipation going into this. Yeah, Valve has finally unveiled the pricing, and the community feedback for this machine has overall been pretty negative. And I mean, rightfully so. When you take a look at the specs that it's offering, the initial reviews that are out, its capabilities, and the price point, the Valve is charging for this device. Um, I gotta say, to be honest, I'm finding very little or basically no reasons to recommend this device. And I have the main page pulled up here. It's in Canadian pricing format just because, I'm in Canada, obviously. But yeah, the pricing here it really isn't that great. I also did have the IGN article pulled up as well because they talk about the official pricing in USD. So, I mean, we can quickly switch to that if you guys want. So yeah, here is the IGN article. Basically, it's going to set you back 1050 USD for the base model, which is just going to have a 512 gigabyte drive, not even 1 terabyte. You don't even get the controller with it. And yeah, that's basically it. They are selling a 2 terabyte model, which will set you back $1,350. And when bundled with the controller, it's going to be 1428. So it is certainly a very, very steep price. And the reason why everyone is so up in arms about the whole pricing and what Valve is charging is because, I saw a lot of tweets, a lot of people on Twitter talking about this, and a lot of people brought up some really good points. This thing is just insanely overpriced for the hardware it's offering and for the performance capabilities that it's offering. Now, at a first glance, when you take a look at the specs on paper and what it's offering, it doesn't seem too bad, right? You're looking at an AMD Zen 4 processor with 6 cores and 12 threads, an AMD RDNA 3 based GPU with 28 compute units, 16 gigs of RAM, and they mentioned 8 gigs of G6 memory for the graphics, right? 512 gig NVMe, which, all right, if you've been sleeping under a rock for the last like 8 to 10 months, then yeah, you guys know there's a whole RAM apocalypse situation going on. We've been talking about it pretty much in every video. Where, due to the whole demand with the AI data centers, RAM and DRAM, all of that has shot up and to absolute insane levels. And SSDs have also shot up crazily in price, right? There was a period where, a couple months ago, not a couple months ago, but a couple of years ago, you could get a very fast Gen 4 1 terabyte NVMe drive for like 80 bucks, $70. I've even seen them as low as $60 on sale. Now those same drives are selling for $200 plus. It is absolutely insane, right? So to be fair, the prices on a lot of components has gone up immensely. So it's not just Valve that's affected by this. The entire industry is, whether it's big players who are making, pre-built desktops, laptops, phone manufacturers. Everyone is affected by this. So let's not ignore that, right? And that's one of the reasons why Valve had held off on the pricing. I think initially the pricing that they were saying was supposed to be around $700 to $800. I think that's what was quoted in the IGN article. Even at that price point, like even let's say the whole RAM apocalypse situation didn't happen, and Valve was able to launch this device at $700 $800. I think even then I would be calling it DOA. Like, trust me when I say this. This is not a device that I can really recommend. I don't think anyone should be buying this unless, you're some hardcore fanboy, you're just curious about it. I mean, the thing is with Valve, right? With a lot of the big major brands, gaming major brands out there, they over the last like 3 decades, they have cultivated a very hardcore fanboy base and brainlets who will, buy this machine. We'll talk about this a little bit more later on, whether it's going to sell out or not. And there's some interesting things to talk about there with how they're positioning this. But yeah, on paper, at a first glance, it doesn't seem too bad, right? You think about Zen 4, the Ryzen 7000 series, you think about RDNA 3, the RX 7000 series GPUs, right? You're like, hey, that's pretty recent stuff. Like, that's pretty powerful. But here's the situation with the Steam machine. This thing is absolutely heavily thermally and power constrained. So don't think that, a 6-core Zen 4 processor is going to be performing that's in this machine is going to be performing about the same as a Ryzen 5 7600. No, you will be absolutely disappointed if you think that is what the case that's going to be the case. Same thing with the RDNA 3 28 compute unit GPU. Now, I think I could be wrong, but I believe there was no 28 compute unit GPU in the RDNA family. But there is a 28 compute unit GPU for the RX 6000 RDNA 2 GPU. So if you were looking for something that's comparable in the DIY desktop space, then this is the graphics card that you'd be looking at. So when people saw the initial specs, this is what they were comparing it to. This is the type of performance. So when it comes to seeing how it actually performs, Gamers Nexus on their channel actually posted a review, and we can go ahead and check out a few of their benchmarks that they did. And I urge you guys to watch the whole review. It's very thorough, so credit to them for doing that. I'll leave a link for that review in the description. So in Gamers Nexus review, they benchmarked Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. This was one of the games that they looked at, and you guys can see the C machine is at the bottom, but along with that, you do also have the RX 6600 at the bottom there. So yeah, I mean it's performing similar to its desktop counterpart, right? In the DIY space. But then you take a look at their CPU benchmark review section, and this is where things start to get really ugly. So here's a benchmark they did from their CPU section. This is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and looks like they did a pass somewhere to benchmark and see the performance capabilities of the CPU. It's like I said, Zen 4 6-core 12-thread part running at like 30 watts. You can go and check the specification section in the review, and they do a little bit more detailed a breakdown of the specs. And this RAM stick, by the way, so it's 16 gigs of RAM, right? But it's a single stick, so it's basically single channel, which, as you guys know, can be very, very detrimental to performance. But yeah, this thing just is not running well in terms of its CPU performance. It can't even keep up with a Ryzen 5 2600, a 6-core 12-thread part from 2018. Now, that is absolutely embarrassing. This thing, it's 2026 now. This thing should be able to perform as good as like a 14600K. Honestly, like this is just absolutely horrendous performance from the CPU. I've also seen some absolutely retarded takes on Twitter. You take a look at this guy who replied to one of my tweets and then just blocked me right after because, well, they'd be proven wrong, saying that you could have, because one of the main arguments people talk about is you can build a much faster system, and I'll prove to you guys how that is right. But yeah, people just are in complete denial, trying to find whatever ways to defend Valve, saying that no, you can't build it. Everything is expensive. Yeah, sure, everything has gone up in price, but it's all relative. And so there were other users on Twitter who were showing just how much better of a machine you can build in the DIY space. Sebastian Castellanos, I believe he is a editor at WCCF Tech, showed a system with a 7600X, various other parts, 6000 CL38 memory, DDR5 that is. So it's a 2x8 kit, so dual channel, and with much better timings and frequency than what the Steam machine is offering you, right? A 512 gigabyte SSD, so they're matching that one for one, but an RX 9060 XT. So if you guys recall those benchmarks from Gamers Nexus review and other outlets, if you check them out, you'll see that the 9060 XT, a DIY desktop discrete graphics card, is going to run absolutely circles around what the Valve Steam Machine's GPU is going to offer, right? So yeah, you can totally build a machine yourself into DIY space. So I actually, because I'm not based in the US, I went ahead and took a look at, DIY parts in Canada, and I was able to put together a system that is not only cheaper, but also, much faster, and actually gives you a bit more benefits. So we'll go ahead and just take a look at that over here as well. And so using PC Part Picker, I decided to put a build together, and we have a 7600, so it's the same CPU, a decent CPU cooler. It's thermal, right? They make fantastic coolers. It'll do the job for this part just fine. 16 gigabytes of DDR5. This is actually a little bit better memory because this is 6000 CL30, so you're getting much better timings. A 1 terabyte NVMe drive. So we're looking at double the storage, a 9060 XT, and then for the case and PSU, it really doesn't matter as long as you get something that fits all your parts and a reputable brand power supply, then you're good. And so this actually comes in about $100 cheaper than what the Steam Machine 512 gigabyte model costs here in Canada. So to me, this is an absolute no-brainer. However, one of the arguments people make is, well, the Valve Steam Machine is it's a pre-built, right? Like it's a machine that is not DIY. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do any tinkering of any sort. You just unbox it, plug it in, log into your Steam account, and you're good to go. So what is there a comparable price machine out there that can kind of offer me a similar experience where I don't have to do any building. I don't want to build a PC. I don't have time for that. Yada yada. Whatever excuse or thing that you have. Fine. We'll play that too. It didn't even take me 5 minutes to find a pre-built machine from Canada Computers that is not only just it is not only cheaper than the Steam machine, quite a bit cheaper, but is absolutely going to curb stomp the Steam machine. So we have a 14400, so this is a very fast 6 core 12 thread part, an RTX 5060, 16 gigabytes of memory, and a 1 terabyte SSD. So don't know what the actual specs are. This is a MSI pre-built that Canada Computers is selling. So maybe on MSI's website they might have some more thorough specs. But I mean, nonetheless, this thing is going to run absolute circles around a Steam machine. Here's another tweet, another example of how brain dead people are acting and, really going through such lengths to try to defend this machine and try to find whatever reasons, no matter how outrageous they are, to justify it. No Windows driver BS. So what exactly does that mean? Because last I checked, it was Linux that still is behind in terms of driver compatibility compared to Windows. I mean, Linux has come a long way. Valve has certainly propelled a lot of that as well. But let's face it, when it comes to driver compatibility, Windows is so much more easier. Let's not kid ourselves about that. Couch gaming, okay. I've been couch gaming with a desktop DIY PC for the last 6 years, enjoying Dolby Atmos with a surround sound system, and it's been absolutely fantastic. There's nothing stopping you from taking your DIY desktop and dragging that HDMI cable to your TV. Again, I don't see what people are talking about here. Steam games get heavily discounted. Okay, like you can't access Steam on your desktop DIY PC or your pre-built, and then future integrations with deck and frame. Again, what is stopping that from happening on a regular old desktop? It's absolutely going to happen. Valve isn't stupid. Steam works with Windows just as well. So, it's some of these reasons too. It's like these people just do not want to look at the bigger picture and they just want to quickly come to Valve's defense here. It's like, what are you guys doing here? What the hell? No matter how hard they cry, this bitch will be selling out. And it is absolutely true. We are going to be talking about that when it comes to how much it's going to sell. Then here's the thing. Valve is actually playing this really smartly. Valve is not a publicly traded company. They don't have to disclose how many units of this thing are going to sell out, what exactly is their margin on this thing. And the way they're going to be selling this thing, if you go onto Steam and try to reserve, basically you're entering a lottery to get the privilege to buying this machine. So it's not like it's a first come, first serve basis. Basically putting your name on a list, and it's basically going to be like names being drawn out of a hat, and then you might be able to buy this machine. So I think what Valve might be doing is they know that they're in a pretty tight spot, especially with this backlash they're getting with the pricing, right? So I think that the first batch that they're going to produce is going to be very limited in quantities. So just because something sells out doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good product or that they sold it in large volumes. And the thing is, we may not ever get any confirmation on as to how many units they sold and as to, what kind of margins they're looking at over here. So these are all things to certainly keep in mind when you see, people talking about all these alternatives and then someone saying that, oh, look, the Steam machine did end up selling out. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a good product. Doesn't necessarily mean it was a good price. Doesn't necessarily mean it's sold out in huge quantities, all right? So all of that, you guys have to keep that stuff in mind. And so, yeah, when it comes to the Valve Steam machine, this thing is totally DOA. Even at its original price that they were maybe targeting of $700 to $800 US, I still would not have been able to recommend it just simply because of the way this thing is performing, the specs and hardware that it's offering, and really nothing unique that it's offering, all right? I mean, people, like I said, go on Twitter and are doing some absolute mental gymnastics to try to find ways to justify this thing. Trying to say that, oh, a DIY desktop or a pre-built can't do this when they absolutely can do it. So yeah, I don't recommend it. I think this device, even if it was maybe at like, I don't know, like $500 would be a hard sell for me as well. But I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts and comments down below. And to end off this video, are you buying a 2 TB Steam machine or an entire pallet of chicken flavor instant ramen? That is actually a very easy question for me. I'd definitely go with the instant ramen. Why not?
If you guys found this video to be informative and entertaining, then leave a like. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Be sure to check out the video description for cool links and ways to support the channel, such as using my Amazon affiliate link. And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, then consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.